Are you a District 57 Toastmaster who wants to spread your message far and wide? Are you involved in an organization that would like to bring in a quality speaker? Are you looking for a test speaker for your Toastmasters evaluation contest? If you answered yes to any of those questions, the District 57 Speakers Bureau is the place for you. Today, we're going to introduce you to a Speakers Bureau member and president of Leaders Worldwide and a vice president of education for two other clubs. And that would be Talha bin Hamid. Talha, welcome.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Let's talk about the District 57 Speakers Bureau. It's part of Toastmasters. Can you tell us about Toastmasters and what brought you to our organization?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. It's a very interesting story. I joined Toastmasters on June 1, 2016. But I delivered my icebreaker in January 2017. It took me 7 months.
Oh, boy.
Why? Because when I came into the meeting for the first time, imagine what a meeting looks like to a person who's never heard or seen anything about Toastmasters. It is an endless succession of strange terms, stranger processes, people coming and going off stage, making weird remarks. And then you look at the agenda and try to make sense of it all. And it's something unfathomably complex, isn't it? Especially if you don't know anything about Toastmasters. So by the time the meeting ended, two things had happened. First, I had seen the speakers and I had decided that I can never come on the stage and speak. And second, I decided never to set foot in a Toastmasters meeting ever again. But then my best friend, distinguished Toastmaster Rashid Dastagir, he came in. He had brought me here and he kept pestering me that, come to another meeting, just one more meeting, just one more meeting. And I kept finding excuses not to attend. But then, when in January 17, I finally prepared and delivered my icebreaker, something clicked. I glimpsed some of the magic that is Toastmasters. I, who had thought that I'd never go on the stage, actually went on the stage and delivered an icebreaker. And do you know that icebreaker is potentially the most intimidating speech to deliver, because it asks you to tell everyone all about yourself, something that we are so averse to do. So ever since then, I have been associated with Toastmasters. The next year, I became the VP Education of my home club, and then slowly progressed to president. When our district was formed, it was formed as a territorial council in 2019. I was appointed by Toastmasters International as the inaugural club growth director. And then it was to program quality director and the district director. And now I am immediate past district director and also presiding over Leaders Worldwide. So this is an incredible journey. Just imagine someone who was afraid to go on stage. I know we've all heard this a trillion times before, but doesn't make it any less true. We are so scared before Toastmasters, but Toastmasters encourages us to just take the plunge, get into the thing, and then learn on the job. Thanks to Toastmasters, not only I became a distinguished Toastmaster, a district leader, I also progressed in my career, and also I became a professional trainer. I utilized those skills that I got at Toastmasters, and these days, I'm heading the training function of a training institute, despite the fact that I'm an accountant. I also became an author, thanks to Toastmasters, because Toastmasters gave me the confidence to send my stuff to different publications. So this is what Toastmasters is in a nutshell. It is something that forces you and allows you and enables you to become the best version of yourself.
Oh, I like that, the best version of yourself. So you came to Toastmasters with the idea of getting comfortable speaking in front of the group. And it sounds like, from what you just said, you got as much leadership training out of it as you have public speaking training. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, I've been exceptionally lucky in that regard. I have been given opportunities, and the only credit that I can take is that I never shied away from taking those responsibilities. And the rest is, it has been a great, great journey.
Mm-hmm. You can go a long ways if you just say yes when somebody offers you an opportunity. Right.
Exactly. That's the
Right.
first thing Toastmasters teaches you. Just go on the stage and don't think how you'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, that's what we do with every opportunity, don't we?
Right. Right. We have a saying at our club, you can't do it wrong. You can only do it better next time.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's the
Right.
spirit of Toastmasters.
Right. So tell us about your role as president of Leaders Worldwide.
Well, this is also an example of Toastmasters taking you places. What actually happened was that the founder of Leaders Worldwide, distinguished Toastmaster Cynthia Stott, she was looking for keynote speakers for her club because Leaders Worldwide used to have a keynote speech in every meeting. And she was talking to district leaders all around the world. And I was, at that point in time, the district director of District 122, Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was approached and she connected with me and we coordinated on a keynote speech. I delivered that keynote speech. And I also remember telling Cynthia that, you're asking me to walk on a tightrope suspended between heaven and hell. Why? Because the topic of keynote was the role of women in world progress. And look at me. So it was practically guaranteed that anyone listening in would be very, very sensitive towards each and every word that I was saying. But Cynthia said to me that don't you worry about it. And she's always like that. Don't you worry about it. You will do great. And people will be inspired. And sometimes when you believe in something happening, it does happen. So yeah, I delivered that keynote. And that keynote covered prominent women from Islamic history, prominent women from the world history, scientists, thinkers, and came right down to the present day, prominent women that exist today and playing their role. And it was pretty well received. And I love the club so much that I asked Cynthia whether I could become a member. And she said, why the hell not? It's a global club. So, of course, when you ask a president if we can become a member of their club, no president on earth will refuse, right?
Right.
So then I started attending meetings. And by the way, the club is based out of San Francisco. So the meetings happen, according to my time, they're either 11 or 12 midnight, right? Or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. And why there's so much variation? Thanks to the whole daylight saving things. But paradoxically, somehow these timings proved to be perfect. And I started participating. And then when the time for elections came, Cynthia threw out this idea that now you're retiring from your perch as district director. Why stop there? Become our president. And I ran for it. I got elected. It has been an amazing experience because something like Leaders Worldwide makes you appreciate what is possible when you are online, number one. Because we are having this conversation because we are connected online. Leaders Worldwide exists because it's an online club and it has members from all over the world. So that is the beauty of it, the multicultural exchange, and also the richness that comes from the stories that each and every member presents. They come from so many different backgrounds. It has been a thoroughly rewarding experience overall.
All right. I hear you. And I'm right there with you, Talha. I'm in Alameda, California, which is right across the bay from San Francisco. And you're in Pakistan. We're having this great conversation right now. Toastmasters is in over 140 countries. There's 15,000 clubs, and men, women, young, old, rich, poor, every ethnic group, every religion you can imagine, all coming together with the sole purpose of helping each other build their communication and leadership skills. We work as a team, and we all help each other just get better. Like you said earlier, better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you speak on a variety of subjects, and the ones we're going to talk about tonight is becoming a better person, servant leadership, and bullying. Can you talk a little bit about becoming a better person and how Toastmasters has helped you with that?
Well, becoming a better person is something that I discovered that was a happy side effect of Toastmasters. And it's not, it's quite underrated. It's quite underrated. Because before I joined Toastmasters, I used to be quite a closed person. I used to be an introvert, and still am an introvert, by the way. But I didn't used to actively reach out and help people. Sometimes I did, but it wasn't a way of life. When I joined Toastmaster, without even realizing it, within a few months, I found myself not only taking a lot from my Toastmasters colleague, but also giving back. And that's a beautiful relationship. And that becomes a lifetime habit once you really get into it. Providing feedback, providing speech coaching, providing advice. When someone approaches you with a question, for example, we want to go for this leadership position, should we go or not? Or we want to hold a contest this way, can we hold it or not? Thousands of questions, and without even knowing it, you realize that you're responding to calls and messages 24/7, not because you have to, but because you want to. And that is something refreshing, right? In life outside of Toastmasters, we do so many things that are mere social obligations, or obligations due to our work, or obligations due to the whole societal structure, right? But in Toastmasters, everything we are doing, that is from our heart. And ultimately, and that's what I found out, it does make you a better person. It makes you kinder, more understanding, more inclusive. It teaches you that there is so much joy to be had in doing something for others without any hope of return. And that's a fundamental lesson that we need to learn. Perhaps we did this in our childhoods, but then we grew up and the world caught up with us and we grew jaded and we started looking for what's in it for us in everything. But Toastmaster breaks that. So that's where the becoming a better person part comes in. I like to say that, without even meaning to, without even wanting to, and despite yourself, if you become associated with Toastmasters, you do become a better person.
You become a better person. And that leads us to servant leadership.
Yeah.
And can you describe what servant leadership means to you?
To me, it is leadership with a view to change the world for the better. Whether in a small way or a big way, it doesn't really matter. And this concept also solidified in my eyes during my journey with Toastmasters. Before that, you know how we're all obsessed with leadership? I don't know about the USA, but in the subcontinent, in large parts of Asia, all children are taught that you're born to be big people, leaders, and you'll have followers, you'll have employees, you'll have people who will be looking up to you. You're taught that right from the start, that, my son or my daughter will grow up to be someone very important. Now, what is being important? There are so many important people, and the world is full of important people. The world history is full of important people. And the one mistake that we did, and maybe our parents did, and we are also doing, is that we idealized fame and fortune and influence, and we mistook them for greatness. Sometimes they can be so different. If you look closely, all the tycoons, all the leaders that we are taught to idealize. For example, these days it's Elon Musk. It used to be Steve Jobs. It used to be Jack Welch. It used to be, in some parts of the world, Mao Zedong, and some other politicians or leaders. Most of these people, if you look at their personal lives, they're absolutely horrid people. They have been a nightmare for their families, for their loved ones. And that led me to question myself, what use is this leadership? If everyone idealizes these people, this is because, they look at the fame and fortune and the billions they have, right? But they also idealize what they did to get here. And not all of these things are ethical or correct. So for me, servant leadership is being a humanitarian leader, because leadership without humanity is dictatorship or tyranny. It's not leadership. And you can choose how the world remembers you, whether they remember you as a leader who made a difference for the better, or they can remember you as a general who waged war, or someone who caused death and destruction and build their empire on top of it. It's entirely up to you. So this is what servant leadership is to me. A leadership that makes this world a better place.
I just wrote down what you said. Leadership without humanity is dictatorship or tyranny.
Yeah.
That's something to ponder, and it makes a lot of sense. And so we go from servant leadership to, I guess, what we'd call the opposite, and that would be bullying. And you have strong feelings about bullying, don't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Tell me about it. This is very strange. And again, sometimes what happens is that some memories are so painful, you repress them. But then something happens and those memories come to the surface. And for me, it was once again Toastmasters. When I completed my first Distinguished Toastmasters and then joined the Pathway program and had to do speeches all over again, I had to reach deeper and deeper inside me for stories. And suddenly it dawned on me that there was a repressed memory. I had been bullied in school for 3 or 4 years, not in school, but while going to and coming from school. In the bus, a person used to bully me and certain other children. And then I recalled that period. Everything was so fine except for that bullying part. And it left permanent emotional scars on me. It made me a much less open person. It made me scared. It made me scared of crowds. Even today, thanks to that bullying episode, which lasted for 3 or 4 years, by the way. Thanks to that, sometimes I find myself that I'm ill-equipped to deal with a situation where a person suddenly starts misbehaving with me, because I'm so scared. I recall, my subconscious recalls that bullying episode. I just want to cover and hide away. And now that person is actually, he used to be a kid who was a couple of years older to us. And he was an orphan. He had lost his father at a very early age. And that is why nobody ever said anything to him. No one disciplined him. He was also the child of a family friend. So again, we had family relationships. And what my parents and other parents said that, these things happen. They're part of life. So many things that are so wrong today, if you go back to your childhood, they were accepted as part and parcel of life, and bullying is one of them. So I realized that it has left permanent emotional scars. And these days, whenever I speak about bullying, I tell people that, first of all, bullying is not forgivable. No matter what that person who is the bully passed through, they don't have a license to make your life miserable. Secondly, bullying at an early age leaves permanent emotional scars. And thirdly, and this will sound as quite controversial, I still don't find it in myself to be able to forgive that person. I won't do anything against him, of course, but deep down, emotionally, I cannot forgive because they took away 3 or 4 years of my life.
Right.
And why should I forgive? So the best way to get back at bullies is to make yourself better. And that's what I started doing to enhance your skills, to progress within your organization, within Toastmasters, to make a difference in a lot of lives and to become visible and to be confident in who you are and what your skills are. So that's the best way to get back at bullies. Become so much better than them that they cannot even catch your dust.
Right.
So that's my approach to bullying.
Right. How do you feel now? It's been years since the bullying. How do you feel as a father and a citizen in your day-to-day activities?
Well, actually, I see bullying all around me even today, especially in the schools. Even since I have 4 kids myself, I see even bullying within them, right? They don't even realize it that they're bullying someone. You know what happens when one of the children, they do something stupid and the 3 others, they gang up on them? That's also bullying, right? And if it continues permanently, then that child becomes a butt of jokes within their siblings or within their friends. And if you've noticed, I don't know about where you are, but in our society, there's always someone in an office or in a professional setup who is the butt of jokes. And now I recognize, years ago, I did not see it as anything harmful, guilty as charged, because I accepted it as part of life. We have been conditioned to accept that. But now I realize that it is so unfair to that person who is being constantly joked upon, constantly laughed at. And that is also a form of bullying, right?
Right.
And it does leave permanent scars, no matter what stage you are in.
Right. It does leave scars. So you speak on these subjects. What kind of projects do you do? You mentioned you do some training. What projects are you working on right now?
Well, right now I am actually, in terms of Toastmasters, of course, I'm fulfilling my responsibilities on the executive committees. Also, of course, as immediate past district director, the DLC chair, and I'm also the TLI chair for my district. Other than that, in terms of what I'm working on 3 themed clubs. One is Wordwise, which is very near charter. It is all about literary appreciation, but the difference in that is that it will feature workshops teaching creative writing, not just witnessing creative writing, but teaching creative writing. In lieu of table topics, it will have extempore creative writing sessions. So people are assigned a topic and they're giving 20 or 25 minutes to come up with a 5 to 7 minute speech on that. And then they recite that speech in front of the audience or a story. So that has been immensely successful. We've had 3 meetings, pre-charter meetings so far, and we are very near to charter. There's another club that is called Exhibit 1. And right now it's on very early stages, but it will focus on visual storytelling. So we do speeches all the time in Toastmasters, but we never think of them as audio visual presentations. But that is what we are doing even right now without even realizing it. So that will focus on turning speeches into mini movies with all sorts of visual aids and all. And the third project is Midnight Magic. It is kind of a fun project, but that club will meet at 12 midnight our time, Pakistan time, which will make it within the reach of most of the world. So that will be the first benefit. The second benefit is that it will be based around the themes of, things that go bump in the night. So ghosts, aliens, scary stories. So those are the 3 things that I'm working on right now. And in terms of other things, of course, I'm also heading the training function of a leading corporate governance training institute. So putting my Toastmasters skills to good use, because the way corporate trainings take place versus the way trainings take place as Toastmasters, there are quite a few differences in between. And I genuinely feel that some of the elements that we are taught at Toastmasters, we do very well if we can incorporate them into routine corporate trainings as well. So those are a few things I'm working on.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. Talha bin Hamid, you have a lot to share with people. And anyone who wants to hear more from Talha can go to D57TMSpeakersBureau.org. It's a website right over my shoulder here, and it gives you all kinds of great information. So Talha, we really appreciate you being on today and letting Toastmasters and people interested in communicating all over the world hear about what you're passionate about.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's been really amazing, and I'm truly grateful for District 57 for considering me and selecting me for the Speakers Bureau. Because let me tell everyone that there's one thing that I'm fond of saying: no matter who you are, you're only as good as your latest speech.
Mm-hmm.
If I am a multiple times DTM, it does not give me a license to slack off or not do my best. And the selection process for the Speakers Bureau was like that. I was supposed to submit a video. The initial video I submitted did not fulfill the standards. And then I was told to edit it and, to fit it within the duration and everything. And then it was assessed by a panel of experts. So the most important thing in Toastmasters is that no matter, once again, I'm also an immediate past district director and the president of a club. But when I walk on the stage, I'm just another speaker, and I have to prove myself all over again. And this is what Speakers Bureau is all about. It capitalizes on the skills and experiences of its panelists, right? But none of that matters when you walk up on the stage. You have to do it all over again. And that's the beauty of Toastmasters.
You're only as good as your last speech.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, those are words to live by. So I hope everybody enjoyed hearing from Talha bin Hamid. For more information about the District 57 Speakers Bureau, go to D57TMSpeakersBureau.org. The District 57 Speakers Bureau facilitates speaking opportunities for our members as well as community organizations. Our speakers are seasoned Toastmasters with exceptional speaking skills. The Speakers Bureau is a good resource to help you select the ideal speaker for your major event, whether it's a keynote speaker, a storyteller, or a motivational speaker. Our goal is to connect clubs and the community organizations with the best speakers possible. Thank you, Talha.
Thank you so much, Steve. It has been amazing, and see you all very soon.